Hi everybody, my name is Shannon. Welcome to my channel, Another Yarn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. We're downstairs. We are in my overflow, if you want to call it, yarn room. Yeah, I have two. Okay, so this is all I have in this yarn room. The rest of the room is multi-purpose for other things. So I have that. It goes up, let's see. Yeah, there we go. That's what I have. And there's a little bit in some of the cupboards, but most of them are empty. I don't have a lot. I mean, that has stuff, right? But come on, that could hold a whole lot more. So I really don't have it totally stuffed down here. I don't want it stuffed down here. Yeah, I don't want that mess. I just don't. This one's the same way. I moved because I had some questions on what did I do with the yarn that was on this shelf when I added all the big twists. This is all Joann fabric yarn. This one right here. So is this shelf right here for that matter. It's all Joann. These two are not, but most of the shelves down here are Joann fabrics yarn that's on the shelves. I do have other stuff down below that I was able to pick up at various times. I mean, it's yarn. Hello, we love yarn. I love yarn. So we're down here because I wanted to try to show some stuff for my Tackle It Tuesday projects. And for those that are new here, I have been going through, I have some bins upstairs. I'll go upstairs in a little bit. I have some large bins in the cubby holes, you know, like the IKEA shelving, the Billy books, right? They have the big fabric bins that you can put in each one of those squares. I have some of those and I've not gone through them in a long time. I've been in the house for 3 years now, and I've not really gone through them for the entire time I've been in the house. And then obviously before we moved, it wasn't like I was just finishing up a project or working on a project and then stuffed it in a bag. So these have been long time vintage whips. So I found some really fun things. This is a sock. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Look at that pattern. Look at that. That is fantastic. This is a pattern by Cookie A. It's a free pattern on knitty.com website. And I had printed it off years ago. Looks like I started this in like 2006. That's a lot of time ago. So if this were a child, the child would be sneaking alcohol by now, right? And by the virtue of the fact that I didn't do this in that time period, well, the sock is still around and it's pristine. It's never been worn. Here's the second sock right here. I had taken it off the needles. You know, I didn't have a lot of needles back then. I've got quite the collection now, and I probably needed them or wanted them for something else. So what I wanted to do before we look at anything else that's in the bin is see if I can put those live stitches on the needles and let you see that. Now, I'm pretty sure I was using size 0 needles. What does it tell me? It's saying a set of size number 2s. No, I definitely didn't use number 2s. No. Some people, when they make their socks, they really do use size 2 needles. I've never done that. I've always done, I used to do all my socks in 0s. I've moved up to size 1s and just kind of relaxed a little bit, but I liked that. Look at that tiny stitch. Look how absolutely, and up right side, right? Look how absolutely tiny those stitches are. I like that. One of the reasons is the tighter your weave on your socks, the smaller those stitches are, the longer they'll last in general. Now, if you're using a easier care sock yarn, yeah, it's going to wear out quicker than, you know, some of the hardier wools. I love to use things like the Regia yarn. Opal is one of my absolute favorites. I've been using the Heritage print from Cascade. I like a toothier wool, something that's just kind of like, you just know it's going to wear like iron. This one, I think is a Lorna's Laces yarn from years and years ago. Can't 100% remember, but I think that's what it is. Love this color. Absolutely love this color. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. And look at that cuff right there. All of those are twisted stitches and it's stunning. I mean, I was enamored with it when I started it. I'm impressed with how well I did on this. It is a soft, squishy sock. I found some size 1s that I had, you know, had to go looking. I did find some wooden ones. I didn't want to put this on wooden ones. Was it on wooden ones to begin with? Maybe. It probably was. But I would prefer the metals. This is the Yarnology that got at Hobby Lobby. Not necessarily my preferred, but I just want to get them on get it on the needles. That's it. Really just any size ones would have been fine. I just want to get it on the needles. So these are some big red needles. Hopefully, since I've got big red needles and this nice green yarn, it will show up nicely and everything, so I can show you picking up stitches. So now I'm going to go ahead and try to finagle this camera so you can see my hands and we can pick up stitches and I can talk through what I'm doing, especially if you haven't seen that. Like I said, this has been off needles for over a decade, way over a decade. And I don't really want to lose the stitches. We know that. So it'll be a little careful, a little tricky, but it's okay. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of your knitting. It's okay. So we're going to go ahead and try that right now. All right, so I've got my needles right here. Again, these are the size 0s. That's what I think I was using. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Now there's lots of different ways to do this. I'm not concerned about the orientation of the stitch, whether I've got the right leg or the left leg. All I want to do right now is to pick up every one of those stitches. I'll readjust them on that first round, or I might actually go ahead and do a round for the adjustments. So that does not bother me in the least. Ooh, got some yarn overs in here too. And even if I split the stitches, I'm not worried about that either. Those things I will go ahead and take care of on my first go around with the pattern. And then I have to look at where am I at on the pattern. See, look at this. Can you see? Let's see. Can you see this right here? That's a yarn over that I had. That is what that one is. So I'm just, like I said, sliding this needle in as carefully as I possibly can and grabbing all those. And once I get all these stitches picked up, I'll count them and I will go ahead and try to figure out where in the pattern I'm at. No, I didn't have a yarn over right there. And then I can also look at, once I figure out where I'm in the pattern, if I've missed some of those yarn overs, it's not a big deal because I can pick them up when I get to that point in the pattern. So there's just the tips and tricks that we have. Like this one right here, okay, there's a yarn over right there. Oh no, that's a pearl that was there. Pretty much the thing is, don't be afraid of your knitting. This has been off the needles for so long, it's not a big deal. If I do this and I drop some of the stitches and I have to unknit a row, that's fine. If that's what I need to do, once I pick up all these, if I'm not sure, I can go back and take out one stitch at a time for a full round, making sure that I have all the stitches on the needles that I'm supposed to have, pick up any issues, pick up the problems, figure out where I'm at. It's a good way to do that. So this is not as hard as what you might think. It really, really isn't. Now, a bamboo yarn or a silk yarn or a slippery yarn, that's going to be a little bit more troublesome. Got to get another needle. That's going to be a little more troublesome because they would have slid down, like a run in your pantyhose kind of a situation. If you're old enough to know what I'm talking about, that's what would happen there. This is a nice wool. It has a good grab factor to it. As you can see, that's just not running. Now, if I yank on it, it will. If I pull on it, it will. I don't want to do that. So I'm just carefully grabbing all those stitches. And then we'll count them, and I'll orient my needles to where they need to be so I can start the pattern wherever I am in that pattern. If you've not made a pattern by Cookie A and you're interested in, kind of stepping up your game, highly recommend it. The pattern called Monkey, it doesn't have monkeys on it, it's just a lace pattern. That one's extremely popular from her. 20 some odd thousand people have put on Ravelry that they've made that pair of socks. I've made quite a few of them myself, and they're not on Ravelry. That's just a very popular pattern. So look at that. We have successfully picked up all the stitches. I don't know how many I have. Let's go ahead and count. Do you count by ones, twos, threes? I count by threes. Weird. I know. I always have. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 32, 33, 36, 39, 42, 45, 48, 51, 52, 53, 54, 57, 60, 63, 66, 67, 69. Really? I don't know. I think it's probably supposed to be 72, which means I have lost a few of the yarn overs there. So I will take my own advice and unknit a row, picking up all of those stitches just to make sure that I'm right where I should be. I'm going to look at the pattern. Look at this. It's when I printed it out. So when I say these socks are old, yeah, these socks are old. That is when I printed it out. And like I said, this is a free pattern. Here's the name. I don't know how to say that. Pomatemus. I don't know how you say that. I'm not really sure. No clue. Let's see. Direction 72. So yeah, I have obviously lost a few of those yarn overs like we had talked about. I got a good chunk of them, but I did lose some. So all I'm going to do on that, and you've seen unknitting before, haven't we? You've done that before where you had to pull something out that you didn't necessarily want to have to pull out, but that's just how life goes. Yeah, that's what happens. No big deal. I mean, this has already been waiting for, you know, like a teenager. And these stitches are also twisted. That's by design for this particular pattern. That gives that beautiful wave mermaid type thing to it. And look at this. I've got this one right here. You see that's a 2 together. So when I pull that one out, got to make sure that I get both of those. Do you see that? So that's 3 stitches. And this is also making sure I'm grabbing the entire stitch. I noticed when I was counting them, there were a lot of split stitches. Like I said, picking them up, it's just a matter, you just want those stitches to be on the needles. You don't want them to run. If you have a partial of the stitch, you can fix it. That's not a problem. But if it's run down, some things are easier to pick up than others. And that could be very problematic, and it can be very discouraging when you're working on things. I know it can be. This one, would I be able to fix it if I had a big run down the part of it? I'm not sure. This is not a typical just a straight stockinette. I can fix stockinette. I can fix purl. I can fix ribbing. I can fix cables. Lace, not so much. This, you've got a lot of twisted stitches and everything. Would I be able to fix it? I'd sure try. But I might lose a few more rows if I were to drop some stitches and pull that back. I might lose a few more rows than I really wanted to. So that's already picked up. All those are no longer snagged or anything along that line. I'm not really paying attention to the orientation. When I'm doing the pattern, I will. My camera's in the way of me. Okay. Well, that was a yarn over that I just lost. I might have to take another one. All right. Just lost a yarn over. I don't really like how long these needles are. They're kind of in my way. But just continuing around like that, and really give yourself a little bit of a relaxed time. Be comfortable in your setting as you're working on your things. And you know, if you're a wine drinker, maybe don't drink a glass of wine before doing something like this, or beer, or what have you. I'm not against drinking. That's not what I'm saying. Just you might end up losing more than you planned on. Let's put it that way, right? You know, you want that concentration, just that comfortable level, but don't be afraid of it either. It's just yarn. It's string. It's not a big deal. And, you know, with your knitting or crochet for that matter, obviously we're knitting right now, but if you make a mistake, look at that. It's just yarn. It doesn't care. Yeah, it's all kinked up and everything because obviously we just used that and it's been like that for 18 years, but it's just yarn. So what if it's a mistake? Pull it out, try it again. You get to play with your yarn for twice as much. That makes it a little more economical because you didn't have to go buy another skein of yarn. So you get twice the value from it. It's all in the way you look at it. You have to have that comfortable mindset. So this is all we're doing, is going around and unknitting. That's what that is, that tinking back. With actual lace, with lots of yarn overs and stuff, if I make a mistake and don't have a lifeline, that's how I have to pull it out. With some of the sweaters that I've just recently done and ripping those back, the sweater with the angels on the sleeves, I went ahead and just ripped that back. I didn't have an issue with that, but certain things I do have to go back one stitch at a time. So unknitting takes about as much time as knitting does. That's just how that works. Here's the picture in the pattern right there, that blue, and absolutely loving this. Who are these socks going to be for? I have absolutely no idea. They will probably go to somebody who was, you know, a toddler at the time I started making these, you know, and there you have it. Truthfully, those, I haven't tried it on. Those don't look too huge. So they actually might go to my daughter-in-law, who has the smallest adult feet in the family. Again, I did use the size 0s where the pattern called for size 2s. I've always been like that, where patterns are a suggestion. You don't have to follow them in the same manner that they've stated. It's just a guideline. My socks are smaller than what the socks show in the pattern. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. They're just a little smaller. And there's my yarn again. So let's go back upstairs and see if we can find anything else in that bin to look at. Now that we got these socks on the needles, I can go ahead and go through my pattern, you know, that I printed off in 2006. Yeah, 2006. That's crazy. And maybe we can get these done. That'll be amazing. I'll add this to my To the Toes series and figure out where I'm at and add some rows to it and hope that I did good by putting them on 0s. So let's go upstairs. Okay, so hopefully you got something out of that downstairs. I enjoyed getting that back on the needles. I'll probably change it to another set of needles when I find the ones I like better, but in the meantime, it's on the needles. I'm not going to lose stitches. It'd be kind of sad for it to have languished for, you know, like 18 years off needles and then suddenly pick it up and lose stitches, right? So it's in a good position. Now it's in a position where I can start working on it and I can add that to the fold. So I've already gone ahead and this bin, the one that goes right here, I've pulled that out. Whoa. And we're going to look at something else. So for those that are new here, these things have not been touched in quite some time. And there's things that I've added to my regular rotation, like this brown sweater right here. I don't know if I had a pattern or not, but I'm just winging it. And I've got it back on the needles. I've put that much on it after ripping this much out, you know, but it's okay. It's now in a position where I'm going to work it. And I'm going to have another finished sweater and not have to do the entire sweater because I had so much of it. So that's exciting. And I've got another sweater that I'm working on. I finished one sleeve and the sleeves are my bane. And I'm working on the second sleeve, which is fantastic. So getting a lot of progress from that. I finished a sweater, a t-shirt from the bin, and I finished a child's top that my granddaughter's worn to school already. So a lot of success with these things that I found in here. There's a lot more that needs to be worked on. That's okay. So I've just kind of been going through and digging out and seeing what we can find. I didn't work on anything else in the bin, and which is kind of sad because this one's like an easy win. This is just ends, I believe, and buttons. But oh yeah, I decided I'm gonna wait until one of the kids come over, one of the grandkids, because those little arms, that's really tiny. If it doesn't fit one of the kids, you know, the arms don't, I'm gonna rip it out and use that sparkly yarn for something else. This is it's a discontinued Hobby Lobby yarn. All I know about it. It's sparkle, it's pink, it's pretty, it's cute. I've got a sparkly button that I'll end up putting right here. Some nice sparkly things that the kids will like. But that's right. That's where I'm at on that, is deciding that I have to wait you can see this is my own design. And obviously I played with it multiple times and ripped it out because that's why that is wound like that. I don't normally do that. I normally leave the yarn kind of a semi, projects are just partial projects or yarn ready to be reclaimed. So not really something that I pull out. But I obviously did because I was in the design phase, in the design process, and I didn't like what I was doing. And that was a lot that I pulled out there. I can see that. But life goes on. It's fine. It's the only way we're going to get things done. What other thing do I have in here that I haven't shown? That one is fun. What's this? Black lace something. What was I doing? So this is a large cake of, it's a wool yarn. Wool lace. Oh, look at that. This is nice charcoal. Feels like a alpaca of some sort. And I was making a scarf. That's going to get pulled out. This is it's pretty. I am not far enough into that to even care. Not at all. And it's really thin. I mean, you can block it out, but that is a really skinny scarf. It's soft. It is amazing. But yeah, this is okay. That's a win. That is a win. We're going to see. We're just going to go like this, like it never even happened. And I'm going to reclaim those needles. Look how easy that is. Look at that decision making. Alrighty, let's not mess this up. All right, so that one's, did I go from the center or did I go from the outside? I don't know, but we're going to take care of that. Oh yeah. Oh, how happy that is. Happy days. So I got some messes going on with that, but yeah, that's easy. That was an easy one. All right. That's cool. I put it on the ball winder, but obviously that is a huge hank of yarn and I am not reballing that. Nope. I obviously had success with that when I did it, whenever that was. Who knows? Doesn't matter. But in the meantime, we're just going to rip this out. We're going to just take it and just pull it all out and call that good. And this is a lot of yarn. I don't know what the brand is, where I got it or anything like that, but that is a lot of yarn. And I could weigh it and kind of figure out guesstimating yardage on it, but not really sure. That's always an interesting one when you have a mystery yarn. I mean, this is a nice yarn. There we go. All right, so that's the outside. I was pulling from the inside. We're just going to go like this. And there's the tail. Boy, it just wants to grab hold of everything. Let go. It does not want to be pulled out. It is in protest. It says, I have been here for decades. Probably not decades. It's not been that long. Okay, maybe a decade. Yeah, not gonna lie. It's been a decade. But it doesn't need to be that way. Look. See how satisfying that is? You could do it. When you're going through your things and there's just something that's just not going to bring you joy or you're not going to finish it. Truthfully, if it was, a bit longer, I might have bounded off and found somebody who wanted it. But that wasn't even large enough to go around my neck to where it would be a cowl. And it is really skinny. I mean, look how tiny that is. What was I thinking? It's a sand something. I remember that with I liked the way that the cable looked, but yeah, no. I just don't need it in my life. I don't need it. I needed it at the time and it made me happy at the time, but I don't need it anymore. So it's just going away. It's going bye-bye. Look at that. Look how happy that makes me. Yeah. It's going bye-bye. There we go. And then I can take this yarn and I can put it on another shelf because it doesn't need to be in the unfinished projects bin. And look at that. It's just gone. Just there. You can put on some soothing music and just go with it. Going, oh, look, all my problems are unraveling. There you go. They're just going away. Life is good. Right? I mean, do you do this? Do you pull out some things? Do you feel okay about it? Or does it bother you? Now, truthfully, if I had just finished, or not finished it, if I had just gotten to that part and then decided, no, I don't want to do it, it probably would have bothered me at that point. But it's so far from when I did that, it doesn't bother me in the least. Not at all. Because I know I enjoyed making it at the time. And doing this, doesn't take away that joy. I'm not going backwards in time a decade ago and going, that's not going to work. You shouldn't be happy. That's not how that works. So I got the joy then, and now look at me. There you go. It's just gone. It's not being held over my head. It's not something else in this bin that's going, oh, you left me. You left me. Oh, I didn't. No, see, you are done. There you go. All done. See, it is done. It is finished. There. I will put this on the shelf. Finished. How amazing is that? Don't let your projects, whatever it is, it doesn't matter if you're knitting, if you're crocheting, you're weaving, you're quilting, it doesn't matter what it is. Don't let it have a hold over you in a negative way. If you're making a quilt, God bless you. My mom did quilts. She hand sewed quilts and everything. And I made a couple, and nothing like hers, but it's an endeavor. If you're making a quilt and you got all excited and you got the pieces cut out and everything and you're putting things together and you got something about that big and you're like, I can't do it, it's now a pillow. Turn that thing into a pillow and use it and decorate your room with it and have pride in it because you did it. It doesn't have to be the thing that you started it as. You can change that up. You can change how you want that to be. I have changed a couple of hats that I was crocheting into toilet paper covers. Not a joke. That is not how they started, but by golly, they look great. You don't have to keep it as the same thing. For all of you wonderful people who make these really, really huge blankets, more power to you. I'm in absolute awe. I made one knit blanket for my husband, large enough to, cover his feet and pull up to his neck, a big enough blanket, right, for him. And that was a lot. That was a lot. And I know there are people out here who are making king and queen blankets. I don't care if you're knitting or you're crocheting that thing. That is a huge commitment. More power to you. So if you're doing something like that and you're like, wait, I can't do this, does it have to be the king that you wanted it to be? I mean, it can. It doesn't, you can change it. If it was, you made it like really wide and everything, and now you just have to make it the whole length of the bed. Oh my gosh, that's so much. And you're like, I can't do it. Turn it and go, okay, there you go. That's the whole length. And now I just have to make a width to where it's rectangle-ish. Nobody's going to fault you. You can change however you want to is what I'm getting at. Don't be afraid of changing your mind. Don't be afraid of doing what you want to with your yarn, your fabric, your materials, your time. It's all up to you. You can do it however you want to do it. Don't let it own you. You own it. Well, I think that being that we just did the cast or the picking up the stitches and successfully unwound a project and actually put in other projects into the mix, I'm going to go off and hold off on digging down into this thing a little bit farther. And we'll check out maybe next week to see where we're at. Or did we finish anything else? I mean, I was going to take like I said, the easy win, but I have to have a kid around. Those sleeves look too small. And why bother finishing it if that's really the case? Reclaim that yarn, make something else with it. Is that pretty everywhere else? Yeah. But if the child can't fit their arms through it, it really doesn't matter. And the arms are way up here, and this is, bottom up kind of thing. So I got to pull it all out to get to the arms. And at that point, might as well pull it all out, right? So like, we're done. So not a big deal. And it's been so long since I made that, I don't really care. It doesn't hurt my feelings. And evidently, it didn't hurt my feelings at the time because you see how much I had wound up. I was trying to get it to work. Don't really understand proportions, evidently, but it's okay. It's, if you've been around, I don't always gauge swatch either. And I don't always use the yarn that a pattern calls for if I'm following a pattern. Now that I wasn't following a pattern with, but I don't use all of those things. So some things turn out amazing. Other things, I'm like, I probably should have thought about that first. But that's okay. This is the year that I get to try things and fail. And that's a beautiful thing, which means I'm trying things that are maybe outside of my comfort zone. And some of them are going to work out beautifully. And some of them I'm going to be doing this with. Yeah, I'm just ripping that thing out. Just like, okay, well, that was a week or 2 weeks or a month wasted. Not really, because I learned something and I had fun. Especially this year. Like I said, this year is the year of the failure, which means I'm going to try a bunch of things. And some of it I'm going to like, and some of it I'm going to like, no, I don't want to do that. And that's okay. And I hope you join me in this year of the failure and let yourself have a fun. Have fun. So what if you have to pull something out? So what if it doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to do, or like somebody else's stuff, right? Always comparing to somebody else. Yeah, I don't want to compare to somebody else. They're not me. It doesn't matter, because you got to play and you got to explore and you got to learn things, and you might find things that you really enjoy that if you never went out there to try, you wouldn't know. And now you've got new things that excite you, and you've got new techniques that you can add to your crafts, and you've got just new stuff. And then you can compare going, oh, wow, I learned this. And that's kind of what this bin is doing for me too, because I found some things in here that are very, very old, and my skills have improved a lot. And I'm really happy with that. Well, anyway, I have been talking for a while. I have no idea how long, but I know it's been a while. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. And I hope you guys have a great day, night, evening, whatever it happens to be. And I will talk to you again later. Bye-bye.